In your publications, you talk about energy security events. Can you tell us what this is or could be?
Yes, well, I think one of the things that I'm interested in terms of international relations is where there sort of are critical moments in history, what is sometimes called critical junctures, which sort of redefine the way in which we understand international politics. And I think when you look at energy security, for instance, as a concept, it didn't really exist particularly strongly in the 1940s, 1950s, or even 1960s. It really became a powerful concept or idea in the 1970s when there was this, there were very, very substantial oil price rises. There was major wars that took place in the Middle East. And there was a real jolt, and it led to recession in industrialized countries and significant economic deterioration in third world countries or developing countries. So that was had a major impact internationally. And what it led to was sort of we're thinking, well, actually, we need to move away from oil, and we need to think about developing gas or nuclear power, or even at that time renewables. It wasn't actually linked to climate change, but wind and solar were actually developed at that period. So that was a major, broadly an event that was driven by politics and conflict in the Middle East, which transformed the way we think about contemporary energy. And then and I guess the issue in some ways for the contemporary period is clearly that there is a desire amongst many people for the climate change to be that critical event that transforms the way in which we consider energy and the need to shift away from fossil fuels. Now, I think one of the questions that we have is, have we reached that critical event? Has there been, I mean, it's unlike 1970s was very clear. You could visibly see it through conflict and wars. We can clearly see it, but it's less evident in that sort of way with climate change because it's fairly gradual change that is taking place. So I think in a way what will be interesting is to see at what point does a real critical event take place that transforms our understanding of energy and the need to move towards a more sustainable future.
Critical raw materials are sometimes called the new oil. Do you think this analogy is correct, justified?
Well, I think you have to be very, very careful on this. I think you have to look at it in relation to each resource. I mean, as I mentioned, oil is the classic case of a resource which is geopolitically significant, but it's different when you look at gas. It's different when you look at coal. It's different when you look at plutonium or nuclear materials, and it's the same. It's different when you look at the different things like rare earth materials, metals, or lithium or cobalt. I think in general, some of the elements are there in a sense. I mean, rare earth materials, particularly concentrated in China, it's incredibly valuable. I mean, what is less well known is that if prices increase, will it not be found in other parts of the world, which might be with more friendly allies in Australia or elsewhere. But nevertheless, I think what is the case, and what is definitely the case, is that I mean, I think what you can't make is a strict, it's going to become like oil, because oil is very specific. Each of these different resources have their own particularities. But what one can say is that as one moves in terms of a transition away from fossil fuels, the resources and materials which are required for that transition, or in terms of the fourth industrial revolution, in terms of the digital revolution, the sort of things you need for batteries, etc. All the raw resources there are going to become very, very critical, very, very valuable for international society and international relations. Therefore, the geopolitical tensions will rise as a consequence, and it will have to be managed. So in the same way that we are concerned about energy security, oil, gas, is going to also apply to these new resources. But I think it's a little bit just to say, oh, it's going to become the new oil. I think oil is a very unique resource in some ways in this relation, and other resources tend to be less geopolitically fraught than oil, and hopefully that will be the case also with the rare earth materials and other types of new resources.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Roland, for this interesting interview and for answering our questions.
Okay, thank you very much.